listen, Puma does it. Puma does it right. So
Stu, you haven't been in this spot before of trying to cover and process losing in the finals.
Yep.
So I'm curious how you deal with that. Besides obviously you said before you have other things that help you with Ruby and obviously Marta that get your things. But from the on the court standpoint, how do you process it, and when do you think, okay, now I'm really pissed and let's start getting ready for next year?
Yeah. I mean, it is like I've been thinking about it in a lot of different ways, and fortunately, it's something that I really haven't felt often or ever, especially in a championship situations. And as being part of sports, that day was going to come, and that day came on Wednesday. And of course, I wish that we could change the outcome, and especially knowing the magnitude of what we were doing here in New York and in Brooklyn and all the fans around us. It is really disappointing, and I think that, there's just going to be a greater outcome from this, so that I have, obviously, having success, knowing what it feels like to win championships, but also knowing what it feels like to lose one, and making sure that I don't feel that again. And I think that's really my mindset and mentality going forward. And then, just still talking about the perspective aspect of it, of like just being grateful to be here, grateful to have my family around me, and can continue to just build and grow.
Two off-season forward-looking questions. One, Jonathan this morning said that you will 100% be cored. Just wondering your reaction to that.
I mean, it's my first time being cored, so not surprising. I think that I'm excited for what we're doing here in New York and with the Liberty, and I know it's hard to talk about, especially being October, and we're not going to start a season again until April, but the way we finish things, obviously it's overshadowed by the disappointment and the loss, but as a whole, it's been an extremely successful season. And, from you guys to everybody involved in the Liberty, to the fans, to the outside general public, it's been amazing to be a part of, and I'm looking forward to, doing it for many years to come.
And then there was a report online that said that you'll be going to China to join Han. I was in the playoffs in the I guess the late winter. I was wondering if you could comment on that or confirm the veracity.
Definitely have not committed to anything. I know China is like an option and definitely up in the air. I think my main focus right now is, obviously I've been offline for a little bit, and I plan to just be home and like be a normal person. We're most likely going to have a baby early next week. So just handle that situation, make sure that the house is ready and March is feeling good. And once we get into a good groove of having two, which I'm not sure when that groove comes, we'll figure out the rest. But China's an option, and I loved my time in Shanghai, and to be able to play with great players from all over the world is something that I love to do, and I love to play. So if it works for my family and I, we'll try and figure it out.
Hey, Stewie, it's not as hard as people think with Stu, don't worry. So I got two for you if we can. And first is that this offseason shape is a little bit different in the sense that, Jonathan talked about touring you, so you're in a position to continue to build. I know there's a group chat last year when we talked about, but you were looking to let Stewart make their decisions individually. Is that different this year, where there's an established group, or are you very hands-off in your view of it?
Well, I think it's a little bit different when it's like I know my team. I know I'm going to be here. And then just making sure that all of my teammates feel the same way that I do, that I love and appreciate being around them, that I love and appreciate sharing the court with them. And like we all felt, like we were doing something special. And, yeah, we didn't complete our ultimate goal, but we can taste it, you can feel it. And now it's like getting back to that point and actually making it happen.
Right. And then just for you personally, when you look back on the playoffs, you've set a very high standard for yourself throughout your time.
Yeah.
And I think you would acknowledge it's not what that standard was during the playoffs. Have you reflected on why that is? Do you have a sense of why that is and ways to change that going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that this was, obviously, I don't think I played my best throughout the playoffs and, like, being great consistently. I think that was something that just didn't happen. And for me, it's a struggle and it's disappointing because I know that, like, I'm the start, It starts with me and then it trickles down to everybody else. And just means that there's more room to grow and that I need to continue to get better. And that's something that I plan to do this offseason and make sure that, when we are in these big moments and we are supposed to be our best, that I'm going to be my best. And it's the beauty of sport. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. And this, like I said before, this feeling is something that I won't forget, and making sure that when I have another opportunity, things will be different.
Thank you.
Hi, Stewie. Thanks for taking the time. So Sandy came in here and she sort of said that for you was your first season without the leadership of Sue Bird.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious how you've processed that fact and how that has played a role in how you've processed the past 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it is my first season without, Sue as a leader, and understanding that when I came to this team, I wanna fill that leadership void. I wanna make sure that everyone is understanding, what we're doing and how we can continue to be great and how we can set the standard and continue to chase excellence. I think that, falling short of our goal is something that's frustrating and tough. But leadership doesn't always happen when things are going good. It needs to happen when things are going bad. And obviously, losing means things weren't going like we wanted them to. And just making sure to continue to lift my teammates up. Obviously, we're all upset. We all don't like the position that we're in right now. But making sure that each and every one of them, carry their heads high and keep their chin up, because there is more basketball to come, and there is other things happening in everyone else's life, and understanding that we wouldn't want to do this with any other group. You know what I mean? And have that going forward, and know that, we knew that we were going to go to war together, and win or lose, we were going to do it together. And this time we lost, and hopefully next time we'll be back and we'll win.
And building off on this being the only group you want to do this with, I just want to get your response to something that Kelsey Plum said in the past couple of days. She said, "We all know that as much as they are a team, they're not a team, if that makes sense. They're really good individual players, but they don't care about each other. And you can tell that in those moments. They revert back to individual basketball." Just want your thoughts on that based on the culture that you guys have built this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think my thoughts are that congratulations to Vegas. They've been phenomenal from the start of the season to the end. And win or lose, we're going to just continue to carry ourselves with grace and keep that going forward.
Thank you.
Hey, Stewie. Good morning.
Morning.
You talked about this postseason not being one of your best. So what are some things that you feel like you can personally work on in the offseason to improve, to come back stronger next season?
I think just continue to, understand the way that teams are going to play me. I think the thing is, it's like when things are really tough, what are we going to do as a whole to, like, get something done? And yeah, that starts individually, but just the mindset as well, and making sure that we continue to build off of that and build our identity from the start when we get back together in April. And I don't know, my stamina, I guess. getting ready for another, I think, 40-game season next year with the Olympics. So it should be interesting. But I think when I think about what I want to be better at, I just want to be consistently better at everything. And I think that's really my goal. It's like anytime that I have a season, I want to be able to, I think the standard is for a player to be 50, 40, 90, you know, and haven't been at that. And that's something that I want to reach.
And one quick follow-up. I mean, you mentioned next year being an Olympic year, but also the prioritization rules are kind of shifting, and you've been super vocal about that in the last year or so. That's something that's going to probably impact this team in terms of the roster and the continuity moving forward. So just any thoughts and takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I think my stance is always the same with prioritization, that it's, you know, there's no gray area. It's black or white, and that makes it really tough for players, especially the ones that are like in an in-between place where, you know, you're not sure if you're going to be on the WNBA roster, so you want to go overseas and play, and then if you're in a country like France, you'll miss the WNBA season. So I don't know if anything will happen this coming year as far as like making it so players can continue to do both, but we will have an opportunity to obviously see if we want to opt out of the CBA come, almost 12 months from now. And I know that that's a big, like, point in it all is, you know, we want to make sure that we have the choice over our careers, and we understand that we don't want to miss games either in the WNBA. But also, you know, you're asking players to leave during their playoffs when you also made a commitment to a team overseas for 6 to 8 months.
Stewie, you've been asked and you've talked already to us about balancing leadership, coming to a new team, doing it without people that you've done it with before, having a winning record for almost, you know, your entire basketball career. But I'm curious to get you to reflect on how this actually felt. What did this season feel like for you from a mental perspective, from an emotional perspective, and even physically as well?
Well, I think there's many emotions from this season. I think that, you know, in the beginning, it was like we had such high expectations. And, you know, it wasn't perfect. It was pretty bumpy and rocky, and everyone was like, uh-oh, like, what's going to happen? And we continued to kind of stay together and to fight through it. And what an unbelievable regular season we've had. You know, to go 32-8 is pretty incredible, I think. And when I look at what this team has done, it is pretty incredible, just from, you know, putting this group together with not much time, with not much experience playing together and not much time on the court. And then you look at the postseason, and it's like, I think about our fight. You know, I think that we hadn't had that point, maybe game 3 where we were like really, game 3 of the finals, where we were really feeling like ourselves and when we were at our best during the regular season. But we struggled to have that throughout the postseason. But what we did have was we had fight. And that didn't waver. And yeah, then obviously disappointment and just the way that it went down. So basically all the emotions. Because it's like, when I think about it, it's like so happy that I get to be on the court with my teammates, and sad that we had to go through this, but know that there's going to be a greater good that comes out of it. And then I think about the 17,000 people that were there for game 3 and game 4, and that was just wild. You know, like when you're on the bench and when you're in the court, you can't see all the way up, right? So you see it afterwards on the videos, and to see like the towels waving and stuff like that, and people talking about it on the streets. I know that, you know, the WNBA has been in New York City for a long time, but it hasn't been like this in a long time, and I'm happy to have it be back. And I hope that when we start this next season up, the way that we finish will be the way that we start.
And just quickly, been talking to the team so much about leadership. And so you've said, just kind of took us through all of those emotions. What do you think that this season in particular has taught you about not only what it takes to be a leader, but what your leadership style is or what you want it to be?
I mean, I want my leadership style to be lead by example. First and foremost, like what I do to get ready for the court, what I do on the court to carry over and to trickle down to everyone else. And also just being there, being there for my teammates with whatever they need, if it's to talk about the hard things or to talk about the easy things. I want the ability to do both, but also I want it to be two-way street, because I know that we're trying to make each other better. And just as I'm trying to help my teammates be better, I expect them in turn to help me be better, because I'm not at this place where, I can't take criticism. I want to take it too. I want to continue to be better. And I think, that's it. It's just, sorry. Just continue to lead by example and do that on and off the court.
Breanna, good morning. Thank you for being here today. Now that you had some time to reflect, during your MVP speech, you mentioned that you want to be a prime example, a true role model to your daughter and your incoming, and I presume your incoming child as well. So, in your opinion, from that perspective, how do you think you fulfilled that in this season, an exhilarating, if not very, very tiring year?
Yeah. I mean, I think that when I think about being a role model to Ruby and to Teo, that's what kind of definitely motivates me going forward, but also gives me joy and gives me perspective, because it's like, as upset as I am and as pissed off and as like disappointed, and knowing that, why didn't I take that last shot? Why didn't I find a way to find a shot at the end? It's like, I go home and I see Ruby, and, I know that I'm helping create a change for her and whatever she wants. But the way that we continue to magnify what's happening in women's sports and what's happening in the WNBA, and making sure that everyone is able to do anything that they possibly want, that's the most important thing. And, just doing it for them. And making sure that, no matter what, I continue to carry myself with confidence and keep my head high, because, as you guys know, life isn't always easy. It isn't always winning. And, how are you going to do that when you're losing, or when you do make a mistake? And that's what I plan to show them.
Appreciate your time and insight. Thank you.
Hey, Stewie, good morning. Saab revealed to us a few minutes ago that she sustained a hip injury during the Connecticut series. Just wondering if you were aware of that, and did that change any game plans going into the finals?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously understanding what was happening with all of my team throughout this season and the playoffs, and knowing that her hip was bothering her. But like I said, after 40 games and making a run throughout the playoffs, nobody's feeling great. Nobody's feeling perfect, and everybody just has the will and the want to be there and fight through everything. Because it came to a point where it's like, it doesn't matter. Obviously, player safety is very important, but Sab wants to be on the court, and she made it so she was. And that's how it is in sports. You're not going to miss these moments.
Hey, Breanna. Looking back to February, which feels like a very long time ago now, to that press conference with you and Courtney and obviously the ownership group, you talked a lot about the abstract, about what could be from this team, both on the court and kind of off the court in the community. So what are the takeaways, the big takeaways that you're going to bring from this, from the high moments, the highest peaks?
I think the big takeaways that I'm going to take away from the highs of this season is, people have been waiting for this to happen and waiting to feel like this. And, now it's like, how do we build from it? How do we be better? How do we continue to make sure that throughout the offseason, people are still talking about the Liberty and the WNBA, and that's happening in New York City, in the biggest sports media market in the world. And it's exciting, you know. Obviously, I'll be in and out this off season, but for the most part, I'll be around, and I want to make sure that, you know, like I said, I want to be my best on the court, but I also want to be my best off, and make sure that from a WNBA and a Liberty and a leadership standpoint that we're in this community as well, you know. So community has been to our games, and now we'll be there to help them whenever they need.
Hi, Breanna. From a bigger picture, league-wide perspective, what would you draw as a positive that you saw from this season? And then conversely, where is your focus in terms of how the league could potentially do better by its players?
Yeah. I think the big positives from this season, I think, is just like the numbers and the viewership and the, I don't even know, ratings and everything has been up. You know, you see it's like up 500% or whatever, 100%. And it's like, all right, well, what even is that number? But it's, you know, it's growing in every place, everywhere. Merchandise, TV, in-season tickets, playoff tickets. So it's like there's a want, you know. People want to be a part of this. And I think that as the WNBA, as specific teams like the Liberty and everybody else of this league, as players, we've continued to, like, showcase our best and be our best and make sure that, you know, whether it's a new fan or one that's been here for a long time, we continue to embrace and appreciate them. And that's going to be huge going forward. I think that what we can continue to build on is, obviously I'm going to talk about charters, but, you know, making sure that that's a more consistent thing, making sure that, you know, like I said, when we do have this CBA potential renegotiation coming up, obviously the TV deal is coming up. That's a lot of things that can change the way that we do handle things in the WNBA, and obviously that means more money, and more money means charters and making sure that all the players are getting everything that they need. But I think continue to just show that we want and expect more, and, you know, franchises are doing that with, you know, obviously Vegas's practice facility, and other teams are building practice facilities, and you're seeing just an environment and an atmosphere that hasn't been here in the WNBA or hasn't been here in a long time, and now it's coming back to where, you know, we have access to everything that we want and need to help us continue to be great.
Good morning, Breanna. To the point about community, you mentioned sort of the Liberty building community here, and I saw a while back you had got in touch with the writer Angie Thomas in Mississippi about basketball courts there. Just as a person who is one of the faces of the league, leadership position in the PA, et cetera, how do you think that community building matters for you as far as here in market in New York and just outside of market in other places as well?
Yeah. I mean, I think that being involved in the community here in New York and other places that I've touched, and also places that I haven't, like in Mississippi, is important because I want to help create opportunities for others. You know, if kids need a basketball court, I want to be able to help do that and use the resources that I have and the platform that I have to share it with everyone else. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm, you know, looking forward to in this off season is just being here. You know, now that we're in New York, being in New York, how are we going to continue to make an impact? And March and I, we had worked with a shelter in Seattle, Mary's Place, and, you know, spent a lot of time with them. And now, you know, making sure that we were able to create those connections here in this community in Brooklyn. And that's, I don't know, it's something that excites me because I want everyone to feel the way that I feel and the confidence that I have and with the resources that I'm able to use. And I don't think I would do justice to anyone else if I didn't help share them with everyone else.
We'll go over to Zoom, starting with Maggie.
Hey, Stewie, kind of going off of that, you know, what is it about this New York franchise that makes it so appealing to you to come back? Like, whether the way they treat their players, whether it's the way they run the things? Like, what is it about this franchise?
Well, since I'm going to be court, it's like really no choice in anything. But I think what I love about this franchise since I've been here is that they want to make sure that all the players have everything that they need to be great, and really, it's a one-stop shop here with, the way that we have our content team, our PR team, our coaching staff, our front office people. Everyone is holding themselves to a higher standard and understanding that, if we want to make this something truly special, it's not just going to be the players. It's going to be all of us, and the amount of respect that we have for one another and appreciation.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll finish on Zoom with Alexa.
Hey, Stewie. For you all to achieve your ultimate goal of winning a championship, do you feel like you all can benefit from having just this more time playing together, this experience of being in the finals and kind of having that experience on such a high stage? Or do you also see specific areas of improvement, like more so on the court, that you feel like need to be addressed?
Yeah, I think that anytime that we have more time together and more opportunity to just build on the chemistry that we've created is only going to help things. Obviously, understanding that we were so close to be able to do it this season, and having that feeling that I talked about before, but also that kind of bad taste in your mouth, and remembering that going forward. I think that that's something that will make us all hungrier individually, but also as a whole, and understand that this isn't the goal that we had at the start of this season. We didn't want to just get to the finals. We weren't content with being one game away from winning the whole thing, but we wanted to win, and really just building off of that, and not forgetting what it feels like to be here.